In this video, we're going to cover a few miscellaneous items that don't really fit in with the rest of the training videos, but are still pretty important to cover nonetheless. Some of these things are frequently asked questions from our clients, while others are things we here at Eon think that clients should know about their computers and basic Windows settings for optimal performance within the office. To get started, I'm going to go over how to enter an NSF check fee, or Not Sufficient Funds check fee. Unfortunately, sometimes a patient will pay you with a check and for one reason or another it'll bounce and there won't be enough funds in their bank account to pay you. There's a process with this that usually comes with a fee applied to the patient once more, as well as the original charge being refunded and them still owing you that particular service or inventory item. To get started, you'd refund the original payment for the patient. That way, they would still owe you the money they originally tried to pay for. I'm going to go ahead and quickly walk through how to do the refund, but if you do have any questions about the specifics and step-by-step guides of how to enter a refund, please refer to the previous videos for the payments, refunds, and transfer screen. I will now add my refund. In the amount of $50. Select my patient. And simply refund the services that they paid for with the not sufficient fund check. Once I'm finished, I can go ahead and add the fee to the patient. Now, the easiest way to do this is create a service of some kind within your program called NSF check fee or NSF check. To do so, we would just open our start menu and go to our services master list. And here you can see I've already added one. You can put it under a particular category that already exists or create a new one for it, such as miscellaneous services, other types, or whatever you would like, if you don't want to calculate it under the existing service categories. We don't mind for now, and here you can see we just entered in a bogus CPT code and put placeholder information in source location and the other places. For price, you would simply charge whatever the office charges for these particular types of fees. And once you're ready, open the patient services screen and apply the fee. Here we can see the carrier policy kicked in, so we're going to go ahead and adjust that off and apply the full amount of the $30 to the patient. If you need to, you can go into the carrier policy and make sure that this particular service is 100% patient and 0% carrier. Once we're done, I can click Save Done, open the patient's claim, and go to the ledger. Here we can see that the refund was applied, and so was the bounce check fee. Essentially, the patient now owes the original $50 as well as an additional $30 for a total of an $80 balance, along with anything else they may have owed within the program. Hopefully this doesn't happen to you too often, but if it does, you now know how to deal with it. The next item we'll be discussing is how you can bill secondary or tertiary carriers in the payment screen while you're making the primary carrier's payment to the patient's services. I'm going to walk through this real quick. In the previous videos, we went through how to create bills within the billing detail screen itself. We would simply open the screen, start a new billing run, regular, carry and attorney statements, making sure to select secondary, and then I could create bills, selecting my providers and businesses, carriers and patients. Once done, the program would search through that criteria, and as long as the patient had a primary bill created within the program, a secondary bill would now generate. Now this is a general way of finding any carrier bills that need to be created for your patients with secondary carriers. There is a slightly more specific way you can do this via the payment screen itself. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and walk through that for you. So first, we would start a payment by the primary carrier. And again, if you need any help with how to enter a payment, carrier or otherwise, please refer to the previous video series. This particular payment will be $50 by the primary Blue Cross for Betsy Blue. Once I'm ready, I'll go ahead and apply the payment. They're going to pay 20 of this and 30 of this. That leaves $8 for this particular service and $10 for this particular service. Now the carrier is not going to make you adjust it off, and the secondary said that they'd pick this up. So what we can do is if we scroll to the right or expand the screen a little, we can see a column here that says Build to Level. If I click this drop down, I get none, primary, secondary, or tertiary. By selecting secondary, I can ensure that these particular services will now be billed to the secondary carrier for this patient. By going down here as well and making sure that I select secondary, I can hit this Manual Bill To button and the bills will be created. Here we can see, with this pop-up, that 2 transactions were included in the manual bill. Now if I had a large payment from the primary and a bunch of patients in that particular payment, I could go back to this first tab over here, select a new patient, enter their payment, and bill them to secondary as well. Once I'm finished though, I can close out of the payment screen, and we'll see that the billing batch detail was created with Betsy Blue's information for her secondary carrier, along with the services that I selected in the previous screen. This is a pretty cool way to go ahead and make your primary payments and then create your secondary bills all in one easy flow. This allows you to stay on top of your services and payments so that things don't slip between the cracks and your business makes as much money as it can. The last thing we're going to go over in TPS is how to enter a payment plan for the patient. Payment plans are located within a patient's claim under the tab that says $plan, standing for payment plan. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to Robert Blue. We can see he has no payment plan active currently. We can go ahead and set this to standard payment plan and then set our date range. By default, the plan goes for a year from today's date, so we're going to leave that alone. And then here we have the payment frequency. We could select weekly if we'd like, and I think we will. We're going to go off of the first visit, that's fine. Of course, this is the first visit based on the plan start date, not the patient's first visit within the program. After that, we'll enter in the weekly payment amount. In this case, let's say it'll be $50. This will calculate the total plan value for you. $50 weekly over the year is going to come out to $26.50. Now, if you want to discount this, you can do so. Perhaps I'll reduce it to $2,200 because he's on a plan. And we can see that the payment amount itself is reduced accordingly. This next box at the top here is the plan alerts on, and then we have various fields that we can have the payment plan create an alert for us. Perhaps a specific date can be entered, such as the end of the year. And then an alert will create by attaching a message to the patient's claim. Likewise, I can create a specific amount that has been paid on the payment plan so far. So when they reach $1,000, an alert will create. And finally, I can create an alert based on the amount of services delivered within the plan timeframe. So once we've delivered $2,000 in services, we can go ahead and have an alert create based on that information. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add some services. Anything will do. Save done. Go back to this patient's claim, open their payment plan, and here we can see that as of today, the payment due is $41.51. That is the first payment for this first week of the payment plan. We can see that the full balance is still owed because they haven't made any payments since the plan started, and we've delivered $85 in services, meaning we have a remainder of $25.65 in services to go because the total plan value is $26.50. As the patient makes payments, this total paid column will increase, and the balance owed will decrease. As more services are charged, this will increase, and this will decrease, until they swap places. So this one starts out at 0, and this one starts out at the total plan value. And as I deliver more and more services, this will approach the total plan value as this approaches 0. One thing to note is that when creating patient statements, the section at the top of the statement where it says that the patient has to pay this amount will actually read what the balance owed is instead of any active balance that the patient owes. So it's going to read to the payment plan first instead of any active balance in the patient's ledger. So just remember that when you're setting up your payment plans. That covers all the features within TPS we want to cover on this last video. So now we're going to go over some basic stuff within Windows and other applications that might interact with your computer that we here at Eon think you should know before you really get started with the program. The first thing I want to address is a slightly newer feature that's been utilized in the past few years by Windows called offline files. Now, what we're working with here is a Windows 7 machine. Some of you may still be on XP, or some of you may be on Vista, or even updated to Windows 8. The method for finding offline files is a little bit different for each version of Windows, so you may need the assistance of an IT person to help you find out where the setting is and how you can disable it. Before I get started, however, I'm going to discuss briefly what offline files is. Basically, it's a feature, when in a network setting, that allows files to be pulled into the workstation, and in the instance of a network break, allows those files to remain on the workstation side to be worked on. However, once the workstation connects back up to the server via the network, the information is updated on the server as it was changed on the workstation. In the day-to-day environment of your office, however, this is not a feature that you want turned on, as it can cause issues when certain workstations may lose connection to the server, make changes to the data, and then reconnect, only to find that the data has been changed in a different way, causing potential corruption and index issues. To sum up, we here at Eon highly suggest that you disable this particular feature in Windows. It's very easy to do though. Again, this is Windows 7, so if you need to find out how to do it for a different version of Windows, please contact your IT person. In fact, go ahead and contact your IT person for anything related to Windows that you might not feel comfortable doing. To get started, simply click the Start button here and type in the word offline. Here we can see the option that says Manage Offline Files. When clicked, a new window will appear, and there will be a button letting you know whether you want to disable or enable offline files. Once again, we recommend that you disable offline files. You do not want it turned on. If you're having trouble finding this particular feature, or when you click it, nothing happens, like so, you may be on a home version of Windows 7, or even Windows 8. Right-clicking Computer over here after clicking the Start menu and going to Properties will let you know which version of Windows you are up here at the top. Currently, this is a Windows 7 Home Premium. Minimum recommendations state that Windows Professional versions must be on all computers running the Eon Systems programs. Now, it's fine that this particular machine is home, because we don't run this on a network setting like your office will. But in an office that has 2, 3, 10, or 15 machines, you need the professional version of Windows because it comes with better networking capabilities than the home version does. So if you do happen to have a home version of Windows, please upgrade it to professional as soon as possible. Another important setting to check are the sleep settings for the computer. Sleep settings can send the computer into a low-powered state to save energy, but can also cause network disruptions if the computer has the program open on it still. To find power settings, simply click the Start button here and type in the word Power. Here we can see the power options. Over here on the left, we can see Change when the computer sleeps. Now this is a laptop, so there are two sections, on battery and plugged in. Even on laptops and tablets, it's recommended that you never put the system to sleep if you can help it. And if you have to, make sure it's a really long time from now and not something short like 10 minutes. Because if you walk away from your machine for a little while and the computer goes to sleep, with TPS still open, it can cause a break in the network and then cause potential corruption or index issues. I'm going to go ahead and set this to never, and then save the changes. For the most part, your computer won't suffer from not sleeping, and if you do absolutely need to make the computer sleep, you can always put the computer to sleep manually when you know that the programs won't be operating within a certain time frame. The last Windows setting we're going to discuss are the power settings and sleep features for your network cards and adapters. To access these, click Start on the desktop again, and then type in the word Device. Here we can see the Device Manager appears. Clicking it will bring up a window known as the Device Manager. Mouse on down to Network Adapters, and click the little triangle here to open up the menu. Here we can see that we have a wireless adapter and an Ethernet adapter, because it's just a laptop with a wireless card within it, but it can also be hardwired into a router or server. If I were to right-click one of these adapters and go to Properties, we can see an option up here at the top that says Power Management. Currently, Allow the computer to turn off this device to save power is turned on. This is not something you want turned on when you're running a database application like TPS in your office. You can't risk a workstation's connection to the server being broken and then having your data corrupt because it's setting the network adapter to go to sleep. Simply click this checkbox to uncheck this particular setting and turn it off, and then click OK. Do the same thing for all other adapters available under this particular section. Once again, if this all seems a little out of your league or you're not sure what to do even after watching the videos, please contact us here at Eon, or perhaps contact your IT person and let them know what needs to be done. A professional will be able to help you without any issue. And the last thing we're going to discuss, and we may have mentioned this once or twice before, is that we don't want to be running backups or antivirus scans in the middle of the day when the programs are in use. If you need to be running antivirus scans while your computers are being used and TPS is up and running, you need to make sure that TPS is excluded from these scans. It is very, very important that the data not be scanned or accessed while the program is trying to access the data. Issues can arise when two different applications try to make changes, view, or alter the data within a database application like TPS. To prevent this, once again, we recommend that you run your backups and your antivirus scans at the end of the day after everyone has exited the program. If you need assistance setting up your backups, excluding certain files and programs from these types of scans and runs, please contact your IT person and they'll be able to do this for you. This concludes the video and how to use TPS Advanced CD, as well as the Training CD series. Thank you for watching and listening, and thank you for purchasing TPS. We really appreciate you as clients here at Eon Systems. If you have any trouble, or any questions, concerns, or even if you just want to say hello, you can always contact our sales department or our tech support department, and we'd be more than happy to listen to what you have to say or help out with any issues you guys may have. Thanks again.